talk about the Civil Rights Division, what they're doing, what areas they cover, and if you have civil rights concerns or issues, she can direct you accordingly. So that's July 4th, Monday, 6 p.m., Atlantic Cape Community College, 1533 Bacharach Boulevard, room 204. And again, if you're not a member, bring your check or money order or even cash. We'll take cash and make sure you get an accurate receipt so you can join the NAACP. A little later, we're going to have a special guest, and we are honored to have this gentleman. He is someone who has made a name for himself in this area, and he has a story to tell, and I'm going to ask him in a few minutes to tell you his story. He spoke before Bridge of Faith, a group that I'm honored to head, a group of Muslim, Christian, and Jewish leaders and lay people, and his story was moving and impactful and honest and truthful, and we want you to hear from him. His name is Eli Gabe. He heads an organization called Hope for Liberia. Hope for Liberia. And those of you who are a little more grounded in African American history know that Liberia, in addition to being a country in Africa, is a country that has a strong connection to African Americans, a very strong connection. It was a country that some people had advocated that because of our situation in America and the mistreatment and the maltreatment that people of color had experienced in America, that we should go back to Liberia, or remigrate to Liberia and form communities there. And some people did that. And today, Brother Eli Gabe is helping Liberia. In a few minutes, we're going to talk to him, and we thank him profusely for taking time out of his schedule to come here and be our guest on Your NAACP Speaks. One more announcement. The NAACP, as we did last year and as we've done for several years, is going to have a candidates night. The candidates night that we have is not a debate. It's a chance for those people who are running for election or re-election to connect directly with the community and say what their plans are, what they want to do if they're elected, what they've done if they're running for re-election, and why they believe they should be re-elected. And the NAACP does not endorse candidates, but we do encourage people to vote. We encourage people to be fluent on the issues, and we encourage them to be involved in the political process, but in a nonpartisan way. So we're going to have a candidates night before the November election. We had a candidates night before the primary in April at Asbury United Methodist Church, very well attended, and I want to thank Brother Hawks, because he live streamed the candidates night on WHA, which added to our audience. So we want to make sure that you know about our candidates night when it comes up in the fall, so that you can participate, so that you can attend if you're able to physically, and so you can listen to it on the radio if you're not able to listen to it. There are only 2 elections for governor in the United States this year. One is in Virginia, and the second one is in New Jersey. The governor of New Jersey happens to be the most powerful governor in the state, because he or she has the ability to X out line items, to appoint judges, and has authority over various governmental authorities throughout the state. So the governor of New Jersey is a pivotal person. So we want to make sure that you hear from the candidates. Also, there are going to be candidates for assembly. The assembly is up, the state assembly. And in Atlantic City, we have a very important election for mayor and council at large, and also county commissioners. So stay tuned for that. That's one of the things that the NAACP does in addition to voter education and voter awareness. In the coming weeks, we're going to have Marcus Wilson, who is our brother in Pleasantville. He's the political action chair in Pleasantville, along with Reverend Miller. We're going to talk about the voter registration day. It's going to be in Atlantic City, September the 21st. That's National Voter Registration Day, in a nonpartisan way, and we're going to be talking about how we're gearing up for that and how we want to make sure we get people registered to vote, and more than that, not only registered to vote, to actually vote. Mr. Eli Gabe, thank you so much for coming with us, sir. We are honored to have you. Full disclosure, Eli Gabe is not just a brother beloved. He is my constituent. He is on the Housing Authority. He's a civic leader. He's a humanitarian, and he is a great, great young man. I'm going to ask you the same question we ask all our special guests, Brother Gabe. Tell us 3 things about you that is not in your official bio.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here tonight.
Yes,
I really appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. 3 things. One would be my birth given name was Big Boy, Bigboy.
Big Boy.
Yeah, Big Boy because I was a big baby. I was 13 and a half pounds when I was born.
What happened to you?
Then I shrank. I don't know what happened. I shrank. Originally, I came to America in 1999, August 3rd. Also, I'm a dad of 3 beautiful kids. So,
okay. Boys or girls?
I got 2 girls and a boy.
Okay. I know the answers, but I want the audience to know.
Yes. So, but those are 3 things about me, and just love, helping people.
Okay. Big Boy was your given name, huh?
Yeah, that was my birth given name. That's what the name that I came here with to America. Okay. But when I was trying to get my U.S. citizen, and I changed it to Eli Big Boy Gabe because it was between Eli, Derek, and Robert. And I was working in the casino at the time as a food and beverage manager, so I had the server, the bartender, and the bar porter to vote on which name I should.
Is that right?
Yeah. So which name I should use when I went to immigration for my citizenship. Everybody voted for Eli. They say Eli suit me better, so that's how I came up with the Eli.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Are there many people in Liberia that have the name Big Boy?
Yeah. My little sister, she was little, so they call her Tutu Girl.
Is that right?
Yeah. For Big Boy, it's like a name
that's a common name.
Yeah, common name in my country, but also it's the name that when you, I guess it kind of stick with you because when you're very mature, you act too big, and so so that's name Big Boy is a common name in my country.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. I heard you say that when you spoke at Bridge of Faith.
Yes.
But I didn't know that was a common name in Liberia.
Yeah.
For people who are listening and don't know, where is Liberia?
Liberia is in West Africa, next to Sierra Leone, right next to Guinea. It's on the west coast. We're right by the Atlantic Ocean, and our color for our flag is just like the United States, but we only got 1 star on it, and it was founded by our free slaves, a man from
the United States.
Yeah, from Norfolk, Virginia, Joseph Jacob Robert. He was the first president. Our Constitution is based on the American Constitution and all that stuff. And the biggest hospital in my country called John F. Kennedy Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had Ronald Reagan University there too. So like most of the stuff, like we have counties that call Maryland, Virginia, like so a lot of the American stuff.
Mirrored on America.
Yes. So they are named like James Monroe, President James Monroe is the capital city of Monrovia. So we name it after President James Monroe. But the history between Liberia, we were one of the oldest republic in Africa that was got the independent, 1847. That's when we received our independence. So
1847?
Yes.
Okay, so you're getting African American history from someone who's actually lived it. Despite what President Trump says, we believe in NAACP that we need to lift up our history, and that's one of the things that we're going to continue to do. At the Bridge of Faith, you talked about you were in a refugee camp, which moved many of the people, moved all of the people in the audience because they didn't know that about you. And tell the audience, how did you come to be in a refugee camp, how long you stayed there, and how did you end up in the United States?
Yeah, well, we had a civil war in my country starting in 1989. It was like a tribal war between different tribes and stuff, and I got lost with my family when I was 4 years old. So when the war started, people started showing in and stuff. The next thing I know, I just started following a group of people, running with a group of people. I ended up walking from my country, Liberia, to a country called Sierra Leone. It's a place like a boundary between Liberia and Sierra Leone called Waterside.
You ended up walking. How far was that?
So let's say it's like you're walking from New Jersey all the way going to like Rhode Island or something like that.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
How long
so,
did it take you to do that?
I don't remember, but I know it was a long walk.
Right.
So, but we were just following different people, group of people. So, it wasn't just me; it was a lot of elderly people.
You walking for safety, looking for safety.
Yes, because the rebel was coming.
Right.
They were shooting guns. People were scared, so they were just running for safety.
Okay.
So by the time I realized it was already dark, it was late. So I just kept on following a group of people. So we end up going to this place called Bow Waterside. It's the boundary between Liberia and Sierra Leone. And while we were there, you know, they always used to have a saying in a refugee camp: everyone for themselves, God for us. You know, some people who was like elderly, they couldn't walk. Sometimes their parents left them on the side of the road. They couldn't make it. So, but people were just afraid, you know. So I was living in a refugee camp for 8.5 years.
You were in a refugee camp for 8.5 years?
Yes.
Continuously?
Yes. So
who was running the refugee camp?
The United Nations, like they would come to different countries and help with the Red Cross.
Okay.
You know, they would bring like some food and stuff. But like when you're not physical strong enough, like people would be fighting for the food, like, you know.
Oh my goodness.
So it
Like
was,
what's happening in Gaza?
yeah, it's like people would drop, they'll bring the food. Like, you know, if you're not strong enough, you don't have parents up there or people. So like the young people, we used to have like sticks, like when they bring like the bag of rice or baggers food, that we would just put a hole in it so it could spill on the floor, and you just grab that much, scoop it up and run, you know, because people were just fighting for food. So, but we were in the refugee camp, you know, just trying to survive. You know, a lot of times, sometimes when the rebel group would come to some of the villages and stuff, they would recruit little young people to become child soldiers and stuff, just to survive. You know, a lot of young people, like the stuff they call child soldier, it really did exist, you know. So
they train them and give them weapons?
Yes.
And they do that because they would at least get fed?
Yeah, we get fed, because the rebel group, usually when they go into like a village or something, when they started showing people scared, they run, they leave everything behind.
Right.
So the rebel group would take those things, and then, you know, so a lot of time we, you know, it was really like, sometimes you go a week with no food. You know, sometimes we went in like in the dumpsters to grab like food to eat. Like you would have like the bread would have mold on it.
But you eat it anyway.
Yeah, you would eat it. Like you just try to find like a water, get some sugar, make some sugar water, and just dip the hard bread in it so it can get soft. You know, so people, that's how a lot of time people, you know, survive. You know, so but those things it was a normal thing during the war. So, you know. And, you know, when I look back on those things, I can say just bless God for my life, you know, with all the different obstacles, the stuff that I never got sick. You know, some people got sick, you know, malarias and all these different things. But God was just faithful, you know. I was able to went through the whole process, never got sick during those times.
If you just tuned in to UNACP Speaks, you're listening to our special guest, Eli Gabe from Hope for Liberia, and he's telling his story, his unique and moving and inspiring story of being in a refugee camp for 8.5 years. Let me ask you this, Brother Gabe. Did you at any time think that you would never get a more stable existence than the refugee camp? Did you give up hope, I guess is the question.
Yes. The thing that kept most of us in the refugee camp, we used to go to church. You know, we have like people who come and just share the word of God and stuff.
Okay.
But, you know, it came a time that I didn't even felt that I was going to live to see 20, to reach the age of 20, you know, because it was just so much struggle, so much hard time. Like sometimes you wake up, you don't know where your next meal is going to come from, what else going to happen when the rebel was coming, the refugee camp again, you know. So those things, like the only thing that kept us going, it was just God, you know, God, and just trusting, having hope. And then we used to have a singer from South Africa. His name is Lucky Dube. He was a Rastafarian, and Lucky Dube used to sing some of his music that just used to like kind of motivate you, like it just gave you hope,
right?
To know, like, man, you know, don't give up, you know, because sometimes I used to sit there and just cry and think about, like, are my parents out there looking for me? Like, do they care about me? You know, he sang a song called Remember Me. So, but we would have people come and preach the word of God, you know, to encourage us and stuff. So, but it was tough. You know, a lot of times you saw people die from hunger. When the rebel came in, they started shooting people. We get hit with straight bullets and stuff. So it was a lot of things. You never know when it was going to be your time to die, you know. So it was like we were just living day by day.
Day by day?
Yeah, so that's why they had to say in the camp, everyone for themselves, God for us, because you never know what can happen at any given time. So,
now, during those 8.5 years, did you ever hear from your parents during that time?
no, during that time I had no clue where my parents was at. You know, I guess they were in another different refugee camp. But during that time, too, God had blessed me. We used to cut the woods and stuff to go sell it. So a lady found me and saw me in the market.
When you say cut wood, what do you mean? Like we see, like
the branches of tree, you just go and use like machete and use it to cut the wood, and then you go and sell it.
Right.
So people get, because they use this wood to cook food and stuff.
Okay.
So
because they didn't have indoor
nothing like that.
Gas or nothing like we're used to.
Nothing like that. So so that we would bring and sell it to the women or like the elderly people.
Right.
They would give them money. Sometimes they would give you food. And, you know, so that's how we did the exchange. So so one of the ladies saw me in the camp, and she looked at me. She kept staring at me, and, you know, and I told her I did something to her because she kept following me. And so I was nervous. I was scared.
Right.
But then finally she came up to me and she like, "What's your name?" So I said, "My name is Big Boy." So she started crying. So I'm like, why this lady looking at me and crying? Like, this is crazy. Like, you know. But then she hold my hand. I got a birthmark on my left arm.
Right.
And I got a scar on my head. My mom said when I was a baby, we got in a car accident. So that's why the scar. So when she looked at those two things, and she told me, "Oh, your parents been looking for you."
Oh, your parents have been looking for you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, my parents? Like, who is this lady? You know, so I was just kind of like, you know, I didn't want to believe to trust the lady.
Right.
But when she said, "Oh, your parents then got on the program, they're supposed to be going to the United States of America." At that moment, I didn't even care if this lady was telling the truth or she was lying. I just jumped on. I said, "Oh, yeah, that's my parents." And, you know, like, so I was just so excited because the simple fact that I heard, like, my parents then had this opportunity to be coming to America because one of my older sisters was here. She came here before the war started. She came in and got a scholarship, went to school.
Okay.
And she was able to send for us, because when you have family member in refugee camp, if you are a U.S. citizen, you can send for your parents. Then the parents can send for the kids.
Okay.
But our brothers and sisters cannot send for one another. So she sent for my mom. So our mom was able to put our name on the paperwork. That's how we came to America. But it was a process. You had to go through interviews and stuff to make sure like this person who's in America is really related to you. And the other thing, interesting thing was, because my parents didn't know if I was alive, they took my name and gave it to somebody else to help a young man to come over here.
Okay.
But when I got my aunt family in the refugee camp, I got reunited with my family, you know, and that's why I was able to come. So it was like 3 months in between for them to come.
Between the time that the lady discovered you and the time you actually got back with your family.
My family, yeah. So we got here in 1999. We came here as a refugee, and then we had to get like our green card and stuff, you know. So, and I remember, like, you know, when we passed the interview, I just felt like this weight off my shoulder was like my suffering, my hard time, my struggle, everything was over, because, you know, I tell people like coming to America was like going to heaven, you know, because this was the land that, you know, people talk about it in Africa. You heard about America, like, you know, it's like, man, you about to see big buildings, flying cars, because those are the images they sell to us when we were in the refugee camp, you know. So, you know, like,
was that one of the goals that you had in the refugee camp, to finally get out of the camp and get to America?
No, I didn't have that goal. It was just something that
you heard. Okay.
You know, yeah, you know, but it was just some people like who have family member that would come over here. You know, you see other people going, you could just sit there and just have a dream and wish, you know. So when that happened for me, like, I just, you know, I was so happy. You know, I didn't even care. It was like I was living on my problem, because I didn't have a chance to go to school during the war because of the war. So like, here I was coming to America, like, because when you're in Africa, when they describe America to you, it's like, man, it's heaven on earth, you know. So everybody looking for that opportunity to come here, you know, to get that opportunity to be able to come to America. So
Eli Gabe, when you got to America, how many years had you went to school?
When I was in school, the last grade that I stopped in was first grade.
First grade.
Yeah.
And you were how old?
When I got here, I was 13 and had about to be 14.
So you missed all that school?
All that time of school. And the other thing too, when you in the refugee camp, or if you don't have money, you can't afford to go to school.
Right. School costs money? Public school?
Yeah. Because it's not free.
Okay.
So, And I wasn't with my parents at the time, so nobody had to pay the tuition or to help out. So if you don't have money, there was no way. Up to now, like when I go back to Africa,
right,
kids that parents cannot afford to go to school, they just can't go. And then the way the school system work in my country, it doesn't go based on like, how when you're 14 years old, you're supposed to be in high school, you're 13, you're in the 5th grade. Whatever grade level you left off at, that's where you're going to repeat. So when I came over here, I thought it was going to put me in the 1st or 2nd grade, but they said no, you need to be in high school.
Because you was 13?
Yeah, 14. Yeah, about to be 14. So, God blessed me when I came here. I went to Absegami High School. I was living in Egg Harbor City. And I'm so grateful to my teachers over at Absegami High School and my soccer coach. These people were really, really great towards me and stuff. And I remember telling them that I was going to walk to go to Absegami because we're living on Buffalo Avenue. So they was like, no, the school bus pick you up. And I remember telling them, I said, but I don't have no money to pay for the bus to go to school. I don't want to get in trouble. They were like, no. They provide free transportation for you guys and stuff. I remember. And
that was foreign to you because that doesn't happen in Liberia. It doesn't
happen in Liberia. So I was so nervous. The first day of school, I was so scared because I didn't want to even have eye contact with the bus driver because I thought she was going to ask me for
money.
For money. So, but just going to school, having your own locker. They're giving you textbooks and stuff like that, and then they also offer me free lunch. I was shocked. That's something that was unheard of, from where I came from. So, I was just so grateful for it. It was just a it was a blessing. I remember when I went home, I was telling my mom, I got my own desk. I got my own locker. They give me all these textbooks, even though I didn't know how to read at the time what was in it. But I was just so proud, to have a textbook because, a lot of time back home, the kids don't even have textbooks. The teacher might have one textbook for the whole class, So having those things was just, it was a blessing.
And I imagine it was not a whole lot, that's improper English, but it was numerous students in one class, right?
Yes. Sometimes, even when I go back, you will see, you would have 120 kids in one classroom.
120?
Yes. You would have 110, 115, so those things were it's like a norm. There's the school that costs a little bit cheaper. They're not expensive. But the classrooms are overcrowded, and then a lot of the young people have to take their own desks to school. So they have to purchase, parents have to buy them chairs and stuff, and they would take it to school. When school's over, they bring it back home, and it's some kids use bag, grocery bag, or plastic bag as their book bags and stuff, because they can't afford it for a book bag.
So for people who live in the United States, and there are a lot of them who have it not as well as they would want to, there's no comparison to what happens in Liberia.
No, even here, just to be able to go to the restroom and flush the toilet, you got electricity, you can go to the hospital if you don't have money, they can treat you, and then you'll have to worry about that later on. They offer free education to kids. They give kids free lunch when your parents are at a certain tax bracket. So we don't have those things over there. So that's why when I came to this country, I really, really took my education very serious, because all I had to do is just to show up, listen, don't get in trouble. Because if I would have gotten in trouble, I would have got a beating at home from my parents, because they were working in the casino, doing cleaning 14 rooms. My mom couldn't afford to take off from work, so we all had to play our part, and I didn't have nothing to complain about, because at the end of the day, you have the bus pick you up, take you to school, bring you back home. They fed you at school. So it was this is a lot of young people in my country were down for that opportunity. So that's why, I really take it very serious. And I used to go to school from 7 in the morning, and sometimes I won't get home till 7 o'clock at night, because I used to stay after school for tutors, and then I was playing soccer. So I just had a lot of people over at Absegami who were really, really giving me the opportunity to where I'm at today. So and my teachers, they know that I was so hungry for it, and they were willing to help me.
Tell us how you got from reading at a first grade level all the way to a high school level.
Because I was determined, you know. One thing I love about this country, you have the teachers here are, you know, when they see a kid who's determined, who wants to learn, you have teachers who are willing to put in the time, you know. And God sent me a lot of angels at Absegami High School. One of my teachers was Miss Connie Stacalosa, and I was also in a class called ESL, English as a Second Language. I was just willing, you know, and the teachers, they were willing to help me, you know. And,
so you studied overtime?
Yeah, I used to stay, and then during the summertime, I would ride my bike. I had a bike, so my bike was like my Mercedes-Benz, you know, it was in my car.
Right.
So I used to ride my bike from Buffalo Avenue all the way to Absegami just to get extra help.
Extra help.
Yeah, and then I even told some of my soccer team, man, like, if you guys want me to play soccer, because I was really, really great at soccer, that y'all have to tutor me, you gotta help me. So
I guess so you were playing soccer with plastic balls.
Yeah,
you had to be great.
Yeah, so these guys, they would, I had my teammate, they were already just as willing to help me. And, you know, the determination, the hunger was there, so God just they had a way to help me, and I was able to, you know, graduate from, out of like 575 kids, I was in the top 95 when I graduated high school.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a testimony to you. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Eli Gabe from Hope for Liberia. He has been telling his very compelling, very interesting story of being in a refugee camp for 8.5 years, being separated from his family, finding his family, and migrating to the United States, and pulling himself up from a first grade reading level to be able to graduate from high school. And you went to college too, didn't you?
Yes, I went to Stockton, and when I don't know if you remember Larry James.
I remember Larry James.
From the 1986
Olympic. He was the
Olympic.
athletic director.
Yes, athletic director. We were going to the church in Venice Park called
in Atlantic City.
Yeah, United Methodist Church. There was a deacon there too, Rick Burney. He used to pick us up from Egg Harbor City, Reverend Nathaniel Parker, the late Nat Parker. My family, we were walking, going to the grocery store to go buy some food, and Pastor Parker he had a house in Egg Harbor City, and we were like group of African. So he stopped her, he said hi, we spoke to him and stuff. And at the time we were looking for church to go, and Reverend Parker, he was able to like send the church van to come and pick us up. Okay. So that's how we started going to church at United Methodist Church in Venice Park. Yeah. And then Larry James was a member at the church and all this stuff, so that's how I met him and stuff. And then he used to follow me playing soccer. And then Miss White, it was a lot of people, Miss Young, a lot of people at the church that were so supportive while I was there. And a lot of them were, when I get like a award from the school, they would always bring me in front of the church and give me my flowers. And nice. So encouraging me. So that's how, you know, I got united with Larry James. So when I graduate, I had a couple scholarships to go to like D1 school, but by the time when 9/11 happened, my name Big Boy wasn't a common name too, so so that's why it helped me, you know. But so like all the schools that offered me scholarship, but because I didn't have my green card at the time, so I wasn't able to go over to like Maryland or UCLA, Indiana, or you know. So I ended up going to Stockton. When I went to Stockton, I just fell in love with it. And Larry James was able to help me. It was a gentleman named Ed Marshall, Stefan Davis.
Stefan Davis, yeah.
Those guys helped me, put me through the EOF program at the school. So I was living on campus, you know. So it was just so many people who was there, you know. My professor, Pam Cross. These people were so great to me, and they see how hungry I wanted, you know. So they helped me, and now when I went to Stockton, I just loved it. So when I got my citizenship, I didn't want to go anywhere else, so I just stayed at Stockton because I felt at home, you know.
And you ended up graduating from Stockton.
Yes.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: tell the people, what is Hope for Liberia? How did it start, and where do you want to go with Hope for Liberia?
All right, thank you so much. Hope for Liberia started, I went to Liberia in 2013. That was the first time I had an opportunity to go back to my homeland, Liberia.
Okay.
One of my aunt had passed away. They were taking the body back home. And my mom was like, you know, you haven't been home yet. You haven't seen your grandparents. You know, I think this is the perfect time for you to go back and go visit. So when I went to go visit that year, you know, when I got there, my heart just broke because like everything that I seen during the refugee camp, how the country was looking, I just had to I had a flashback. I'm like, man.
Now the Civil War was over though, right?
Yes, it was over at the time. So I was like, wow, if I didn't have the opportunity to go to America, how my life would have been like. Right. You know, seeing kids walking around with no flip-flops, people struggling.
When you say kids walking around with no flip-flops, you mean they were barefooted?
Barefooted, yep. Right. So seeing those things, people walking miles to go get waters and selling in the market, like kids walking between cars selling stuff. It was an eye opener. I'm like, wow, this stuff still is going on over here, you know. And when I seen some of my cousin, like that lifestyle and where they were living, where they were sleeping, the place they were at, it just broke me. Like, man, this is heartbroken. I remember like the stuff that I took with me, you know. I'm such a giver. Like about the first week I got to Liberia, I gave all my stuff away to people because I was so moved by like how much stuff people was in need, you know. And then I remember reaching out to Second Bath, the youth department. I reached out to Constant Days Chapman, Swagger Ministry, and I asked them, like, everything I brought, it's gone. I don't have no more money. I'm giving it to family, kids, and people. So they sent me $300, and I was able to purchase 120 pair of flip-flops.
120 pair of flip-flops.
Yes. Okay. So I was able to, when I got that, and I went in the communities, like different communities, and there was a place that we went, and God just laid on my heart was the right place to give the flip-flop. So we were giving little kids flip-flop for different age group, and they were fighting over the flip-flop when we were running out. And it just took me back to the refugee camps when we used to fight over food and stuff. You know, so that's when I remember I made a promise to God too. I said, God, if you take me from Africa, if we pass this interview, I would want to come back and pay it forward. And then I also watched a movie in high school called Pay It Forward. Right. So that really stuck with me too. So that's when Hope for Liberia was born in 2013.
2013.
And, yeah, so when I
Hope for Liberia is 12 years old, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I seen those things, when I came back to America, I was just so moved, and you know, and then I just started asking people for clothes, shoes, toiletry, like whatever I can get my hands up. So, like that's when that was, you know. So I just started packing things and just started collecting stuff until like my landlord even told me that you about to get evicted if you don't take all this thing out of this house and stuff. So, but luckily I reached out to Stockton to one of my college professor. We had a hospitality management club on the campus. They were able to help me raise money, and then we were able to purchase a 40-foot container because I was paying money at the storage and it was costing a lot of money. So I was able to get a 40-foot container.
Shipping container.
Yes. So thank God Pastor Days let me use his farm to put the stuff there, so we were able to storage all the clothes and things. And then we started shipping like.
What year was this?
This was 2014, 2015. We shipped our first 40-foot container to Liberia.
That was your first one?
Yes.
Okay.
So the unique thing about Hope for Liberia too is because I live being in the refugee camps, you know, I know when people send stuff over there, it don't get to the right people. Well, sometimes people will take it. Yeah, they will take it, sell it, do different things with it.
Okay.
And so because of that, I used to, when I shipped the container, I would go there myself.
So you could supervise it?
Yeah, so I could supervise and make sure the people who in need of it would get it. So it took a month for the container to get to Liberia. So once I ship it, the next day I'll get on a flight, visit different area in Liberia, different villages and stuff. So that way I already have like a count where I'm going to take this stuff out, like how many women clothes, kids clothes, like the barrels. We had these 77-gallon barrels where we put the clothes in. But once we take them out, when you give that to somebody, you just save somebody's life to be able to store drinking water in it. So the people will fight over the barrels.
Oh, man.
So we were able to get those things, and then I would go there, and you can see on some of the videos and stuff that we have, I was giving it to the people myself, because I remember people would bring stuff that it would never get to the people who in need. So that's one of the different thing about Hope for Liberia. When we ship things, I go there myself to make sure that people get it. So we ship about 4 containers so far since I started doing Hope for Liberia.
4 40-foot containers?
Yes. Yes.
that you shipped from
Yeah.
the United States to
Liberia.
Liberia.
Yeah.
And what has been in these containers?
A lot of time, like I said, we carry toiletry, deodorant,
Okay.
women,
Female products?
female products. We also shipping Bibles. Like
Okay.
we were able to ship 5,200 Bibles. I mean, they fight over the Bibles, you know.
right?
Yeah. So, and then we just take and then when we get there, we purchase a bag of rice too, and I give it to these elderly people, disabled people. We had White King for the blind people. We were able to ship, I think it was like 2,500 White King for blind, visually impaired people. So like whatever, when I go there, I see what the people in need of. That's the stuff that I come here and try to get.
Because the kind of social service that we're used to here is not in existence in Liberia, right?
It's not nothing like that exists at all. So like we would take like school supply, like notebooks, you know, book bags and stuff. So a lot of those things when we take it, and then I can be able to give it to the kids and the young people there. So you know, God's been blessing it. You know, where I was able to take these things and be able to help people with it.
At the Bridge of Faith meeting, you were telling the people assembled there that you're raising money now to do another container to take to Liberia. What would you have in this container, and how can people in the audience be a part of Hope for Liberia?
Yeah, so when I went back to Liberia last summer, you know, just wanted to go visit family members and stuff. But while I was there, I visited a church, and the church that I visited, the pastor there, he's a surgeon. So in the whole country of Liberia, we had only 2 nurse surgeons in the whole country.
2 neurosurgeons in the whole country?
Yes. You have 5.6 million people. You know, so he was talking about, like, he was asking his church for them to help them raise some money so they can have I forgot what's this surgical equipment called, but it was like a manual one, but they didn't have enough money to purchase this stuff. So when I was sitting there, you know, I'm like, man, I have a medical doctor who's on my board, Dr. Alexandra, who is the godfather to my daughter. So, you know, God just opened my mind, like, oh, wow, like, I'm at the church, they're talking about this stuff. I have a medical doctor on my board, and these are things that the pastor was preaching about. He's a pastor and he's a doctor. He was saying that a lot of time people lost their life because if they have like a brain injury or like spinal cord, because they don't have the equipment, people would die because of that.
And if they had the medical equipment, they could save their life.
They can save their lives. So, and I'm saying that, like, and I was just so heartbroken to just hear the story, you know, and it was like, man, like even like the eye stuff, like they have cataract growing eye because they don't have surgical equipment. Some people just go blind because of that. So he was saying all this stuff. So I went there after church and I talked to him. I said, listen, I can't promise anything, but we can give it to God. Just trust God. I have a friend who's a medical doctor, and I remember calling Dr. Alexandra and I told him about it. And we were just so saddened about the stories and stuff, you know. The doctor re-invited me to the hospital. I went there and see some of these patients just sitting there because there's no way they can do surgery, because sometimes the people don't have money to fly them out of the country to take them to another African country, you know, that have those
with more advanced
medical equipment.
Now, didn't you say before we came on the air that you had a friend that you had to send money because he couldn't get a medical treatment unless he paid in advance?
Yes. Over there, before the doctor or anybody see you, you have to pay first. If you don't pay, you would just sit there.
No matter what your medical condition is.
No matter what, you gotta pay the fee. You gotta pay. So, my friend Prince, he's one of my colleague that when I started Hope for Liberia, you know, he have kidney problem and then have liver problem. Like the dialysis machine, they only got 1 dialysis machine in the country.
Wait a minute, in the whole country?
1.
5 million people.
1 dialysis machine, and it's at JFK Hospital, John F. Kennedy Hospital. And they have to take turn. Like he has to go on the dialysis machine once a week. I guess they schedule it that way because of other people gotta have.
So many people, yeah.
Yes. So, but before he can be able to use that, he has to pay $125 to be able to get on the dialysis machine.
So if he doesn't have $125, he can't get his treatment.
No. So those are some of the medical things that we asked in this company that we met. The doctor did a research. Is an organization called Project Cure.
Right.
And they ship medical supply to third world country. They are a non-profit organization, but you have to give them donation, and then they will be able to fill up a 40-foot container. So like the total amount of money we had to raise was $34,000. The first $4,000 is to send somebody to Liberia to do assessment. So the
Somebody from that organization.
yes, to do assessment. So we were able to raise the money $4,000. So the lady's leaving on the 7th of July. She's gonna go to Liberia to do all the assessment and everything there. And then when she come back, then we have to try to get this money to donate to Project Cure. Then they will fill up the container with, after her assessment, all the stuff that we need over there. Then she will bring this wish list. Then they will fill up the container, but we have to give them the money first. So once you bring the assessment back, once we raise the money, then they will be able to fill up the container to be able to ship
Pure
it.
buys the equipment, or they donate the equipment after you give it at a discount?
Different medical group in America give them these medical equipment, reinforcement medical equipments and stuff. So they give it to Project Cure. But Project Cure too, you have to give them donation. Which is like $30,000 that would take the supply from here and take it to Liberia. But the equipment that we're going to get for those $34,000, it worth between $350,000 to $400,000.
So $34,000 is like seed money.
Yes. So this so we getting 10 times whatever we giving to Project Cure, you know, and that stuff gonna save a lot of lives and stuff. So so hopefully Liberia is in partner with Project Cure. So we're trying to raise this money, the $30,000, because we already raised the $4,000 already. So now we're trying to raise $30,000 to be able to get the medical equipment to ship. So if God bless us, we have more than $30,000, we can ship 2 containers. If we have 60, whatever God bless us with, whatever people out there willing to help.
Okay, so now when is the end? If somebody is listening, there's a lot of somebody's listening, but if a person or organization is listening, is in a position to donate to Hope for Liberia, what kind of time frame are you looking at? This is July 1st.
Yes.
How long do you have to raise that money to ship the container?
The way Project Cure worked, they said whenever we have the money, that's as soon as possible they can ship the container. So it's just waiting on us, because they're giving us some time to be able to come up with the money, because they know raising 30,000 or stuff like that, it will take some time. So whenever we get the donation,
then they're ready to move.
They're ready to move. Okay. So the only thing is they're waiting for the assessor, because she's going to be in Liberia for 5 days.
So she leaves the 7th of this month.
Yes.
So she'll be back the
like
12th or 13th.
Yes. So once she get back, if we have the money right there and there, we give it to them. They start packing the container to ship it, and it would take a month for the container to get to Liberia.
It takes that long now? Still a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're putting it on the ship to go to Liberia. So So once we have that money, like I said, the lady get back on the 13th or the 12th, and she like, okay, I did my assessment. This is the report. These are the things they need.
Right.
We have the money, the $30,000 right away. We write a check, send it to Project Cure. They started packing the container, and they're ready to ship it out.
Someone is listening, or their organization, or their church, their mosque, the synagogue would want to help. How are they able to contribute to Hope for Liberia?
We have our P.O. Box. It's P.O. Box 522, Atlantic City, New Jersey, 08404. They can write a check to Hope for Liberia, HOPEFORLIBERIA, Hope for Liberia. Or they can go on the website too. It's www.hope-for-liberia.org. So they can donate on the website, and and also they can call the phone number, which is 609-328-4657. 609-328-4657, and they can call me. I can come and talk to an organization, talk to whoever, anywhere. Like, my thing is we're just trying to bless people, we're trying to help people. So like I said, the sooner we get this funding, we could be able to ship it. Like, I also have a friend who's waiting to use a dialysis machine, because the simple fact we don't have the lot of dialysis stuff over there. So like, whatever equipment people want to. And the beautiful thing, when we ship this container, I'm going to go to Liberia myself to be there to make sure we take it to these hospitals, because 3 different hospitals we're taking it to make sure because those are key major areas that people got to travel far to come to these hospitals. So the one is JFK, and the other one is the 14 Military Hospital, and then there's another hospital called Kingdom Care Foundation. So these are the like strategic places where we know when people coming from far away from the villages, they can be able to go to those places. So when we have these medical things that they need, they can be able to save a lot of lives and stuff.
So a lot of times when people come from the villages, they're walking, right?
They're walking, or sometimes they'll get on bicycle. Sometimes they will get on motorbike, and they're traveling for like a far distance. So when they come there, like, you know, and then sometimes, like, even when I go to Liberia, when I go visit some of the clinics and stuff, you will see the people can't get treated because they need $100 or they need $50, they need $60. So sometimes when I'm there, I just, you know, take care of the bills and help them and stuff, you know. So, but you know, with these hospitals that we're working with, we tell them that if we provide this equipment and help you guys with some of this equipment, we need you guys to be, if Hope for Life will refer somebody there, it will be on the hospital too now to take care of those people. Yeah, so we giving stuff to you guys too. You can be able to at least help some people too as well, so we can be able to, you know, save lives and stuff.
Okay, now give us that information again, Eli. The how they can send a check, the website, the phone number, and all that information again, so people who are writing or listening can have it in their mind.
Yeah, man. Thank you again. It's Hope for Liberia, HOPEFOR, Liberia, LIBERIA. The P.O. Box is P.O. Box 522, Atlantic City, New Jersey 08404. If you're making a check, you can make a check out payable to Hope for Liberia. And then the website is www.hope-liberia.org. And then the phone number is 609-328-4657. They can call us up and we can be able to talk. And then we're trying to get some stuff where we can get a QR code on our letters and stuff and things. So we're praying that, you know, somebody will come along to help us to put those things out there, so they can be able, when we give out, you know, brochures or stuff, they can be able to donate easily too as well.
So if someone pays by check, the check is their receipt, but you will acknowledge all donations and contributions.
We send you a letter, and then the beautiful thing about Hope for Liberia, we're a 501c3.
Okay.
So you can write it off. You know, we're a 501 nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can write it off at the end of the year, and then we also send you a thank you letter with a receipt too, so you can know that, you know. And then also when we're doing another fundraising too, we can reach out, so you send your letter and let you know what we got going on. We're doing the medical supplies, but also we have something there where, you know, when people donate $245, you can send the kids to school for the whole year. And that can help that.
Say it again. You can send a kid to school for a whole year for $245.
Yes, and then they can be able to get uniform. And over there, you have to wear like gym clothes. Like you have to pay for a PE, like they call it, the gym clothes.
Right.
They would get a uniform, a gym uniform. You know. And
these aren't private schools. These are public schools, right?
No, public school, yeah, and private school too.
You gotta pay.
Yeah, you gotta pay. Like if you want a person to go to a decent school, so you know, $245 is like something like they would be going to a decent school. So we do those things too, to try to put kids in school. And then also like during the holidays and stuff, we have we purchase bag of rice. You know, $75 can get a 100-pound bag of rice. Can feed your family of 8 for 1 month. You know, so we do like with the bag of rice, we try to give it to like the disabled people, the elderly people, because they can't work, they don't have no such an income. So we try to bless them with the food and stuff, you know. But I know this medical supplies is really, really going to be a blessing if we can get this container to Liberia with this equipment where the doctors really, really are in need. It's not something that they're in need of it.
Okay. Yeah, well, one dialysis machine in the whole country, that's unbelievable.
Yes. When I found out about it, I was like dumbfounded. Like when the doctor who we're working with, Dr. Bala, who's in Liberia, he says, "Oh no, that's what the hospital is like. People are always coming there. Like sometimes people die on their way coming because they don't have the money to put them on there. If you don't have a sponsor to help them, but like they schedule them once a week, you know. So, and you know, and that's why I always tell people, you know, even though we have all our issues going on in this country, But we live in one of the best countries in the world. You know, we take a lot of time, we take a lot of things for granted. You know, on people having traveled, haven't been exposed to third world countries to see what people are going through. You realize how blessed we are in this country, and I'm always grateful to America for everything it has given me. You know, it's been a blessing. That's why I'm always willing to volunteer to give back to this country, because it have blessed me so many times.
You listen to Eli Gabe, who is the founder of Hope for Liberia, a humanitarian effort to help people in Liberia in medical ways, educational ways, social ways. And if you are able, please send a contribution to them. We're going to put it up on the NACP website with the help of Kristen, so you can see that. And we're going to have you back, Brother Eli, so you can give us a report on how you made out. We're going to have you on another station on July 24th in the morning to talk to people. Amen. Because you have a message and you have a story, and you have a real condition that people can help people. When you told me that people walk 4 and 5 miles to school, that is unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, not unbelievable, we believe it, but that is just hard. That touches your heart.
Yes.
And when people have to pay before they get a medical procedure that they need, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so people of faith and have to respond to that in the best way they can. You've heard Eli Gabe from Liberia. We are going into the closing minutes of our show. First show back. Did you want to say anything, Kristen? No? I'm good. Okay. Kristen is back. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to tell, Deacon Hawk, thank you so much. Deacon Hawk station have given me the opportunity. Ms. Witherspoon, too, I remember when they were on Fire Road, she brought me in there. And Deacon, Pastor Garney, too, also invited me to come and talk before. I just tell Deacon Hawk, thank you so much. Thanks to you too, Doc, for your opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to put this message out there. We are we are our brother's keeper. We are. And this stuff that I'm doing is because God blessed me when I keep me. A lot of other people help me along the way. That's why I'm trying to help them too. So the most important thing I need from people is to continue to keep me in prayers. Right. That God will continue to strengthen me to continue to do His work, and that He will just continue to guide me and direct me. Thank you so much.
Prayer works. Eli Gabe, Hope for Liberia. You'll be hearing more from him. We're going to have him back. If you can help him, please help him, because you're helping yourself. And if his story doesn't move you, something's wrong. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we always win. Happy 4th of July. Amen. See you next week.
Amen.